Yo, episode 41 of Geats. Damn. Like, this is going to be another long video because actually, you know what? It's not going to be that long because I'm definitely doing a separate video to talk about some certain elements in Geats involving Keiwa and maybe some other characters as well. But man, continue, there was action in this, but once again, like these character driven narrative episodes are so good. Three in a row, like this, like you just hit a stride right now. That's just going into that whatever the end game is going to be. That I'm just like, damn, so good. And I just wish still like some of the stuff, especially the Kawa stuff, happened a little bit sooner, so we could have more time for fleshing out, maybe giving him his redemption arc, and everything else. But man, like there's subtle things in the story going around this time. We still know Sumri is the main target of Samas and Jito, so we're gonna call them the management for now on. Kekra and Baroba are, there. Jito brings up like we're close. Her becoming the goddess is almost complete. I assume, that means Sumri needs to just pray, make a couple more wishes, and that's gonna be like the catalyst to draw the power out of her and turn her fully into the goddess of creation. And I'm okay with that. That's cool. Um, One thing I don't understand, because the Parasite game is being talked about and it's Daichi, so like management has nothing to do with this. And I'm just like, how can someone like Daichi start the Parasite game in Ace's reality with his DGP? Like, you're telling me he doesn't, like, even though this is his reality that he created, someone can have this level of power and influence within it? Like, that's where I'm just like, I'm kind of confused on how that works, because Daichi just shows up on a screen display on the side of a building. He starts explaining, the various stages of the parasite Jamato and everything else, and we see people starting to get infected. And then once again, and I feel like this is my comic plate. What is with the power? Not just the power scaling, but buckle inventory. You got Ace. He can go boost Mark 9 or just 8 Geats Mark 9. But like he's fighting stage 1 Jamatos as Geats Magnum, and I'm like, why? Why? That seems like a lot of work when you could just use your boost Mark 9 and be like, okay, done, you know? And I also don't understand, and this is something that really bothers me. Like, stage 2 for the Jamato are now like an instant transformation when a bunch of little Jamatos jump on humans. And I was like, no, like, do you understand, like, the doom, not just doom and gloom, but like the seriousness, like, of everything you could have done if like the city is just full of these stage 2 cocoons that haven't hatched yet. And you just see them everywhere, and you're like, oh crap, there's a lot of stage 2s, because there's literally no distinguishable markings that I noticed anyways between stage 1 and stage 2, unless it's something subtle that I missed. So I was like, why? Like, and obviously because there is no cure, no way to save them from stage 2 that's known, Ace just kind of dips out. He's like, all right, I can't, do this. Like, I don't want to harm civilians, so let's go, because I don't know, we gotta figure stuff out. Everyone gets a little bit of shine in this episode, and I like that. We have Ace and Nan. Earlier in the episode, he's explaining Sarah's death, and, Nan starts to, kind of beat herself up and is down on herself. She feels like, if she had been a rider, she could have saved people, even Sarah, and, she's like, they don't understand how this is happening. And Ace brings up once again, while he's still trying to learn his powers and control them, and, he just wanted to start this DGP with the intention of making a world where everyone could be happy. And I'm like, okay, so the seed has been planted again in another episode where Ace technically doesn't know how to control his powers. So obviously that's the crutch of Ace right now. So I assume when he can control his powers fully, that's how like the resolution of whatever conflict is going on is going to be reached, is when he does figure out how to use and control these goddess tier powers. And now finally everyone knows management's you know, what they want. You know, because Punk Jack being such an investigator, and even Ace points out, like, oh, good job, man. You're efficient at this. You know, Ace, now that they know Sumri is what Jito and Samus want, Ace gives her the choice of what she wants. You know, if she wants to go with management or she doesn't want to stay with them. And, you know, she obviously decides to, you know, stay with Ace and everyone else. And I'm like, that's cool. All right. But this is where I'm like, okay, everyone getting a little bit of story in this episode is great. But if this is such a pivotal character development moment for Keiwa, I need more Keiwa on screen. Because we finally get him and he's, you know, in the room sulking. And I noticed, you know, the little hand, the body language, this and that. The best thing is we got Kekra here poking the bear. And the one thing I do like is we have, after all the episodes of Jean and Ace that kind of dragged out, and for a while there was just kind of weird and awkward at a time at certain points. I like that we have, you know, Baroba heckling and kind of following and bothering Michinaga so much, but then we got Kekra now. Like I said, he's all up in Keiwa's business. He's even asked, you know, how'd you fail to keep your family safe? You know, and bringing up Sarah, and he's just, you know, basically egging him on, and I'm just like, this is great. I'm here for this right now. As much as, like, we're 41 episodes in, and I kept saying, like, we have no real backstory to these supporters. We don't know too much other than their lives are blueprinted out for them in the future, this and that. And I was really hoping, I mean, we're 41 episodes in. If we get anything that has to do with the future, I feel like it may just seem rushed and almost out of place, or just like quick and not fleshed out. But that's an issue for another time. So, you know, Baroba heckling Buff Michinaga is one thing, but man, Buff is still going around fighting people. Like, I was sitting there like, okay, so even though he knows what happens to Sarah, he's still, you know, going after these stage 2s because he technically killed another person. And now he's haunted by this ghost of Sarah who's questioning what he's doing. And like I said, Baroba's just completely amused by this despair that he's going through. And I'm like, there's going to have some sort of payout off, right, for all this. Like, even by the end of the episode, I have, like, questions about Michinaga as a character because, you know, you saw what happened to Toru. And you think there'd be more to his reaction and, like, everything else after what he did to Sarah. Like, he saw Keiwa's reaction, you know? And I'm just like, there has to be something that's going to happen with this. There has to be. And, you know, like I said, I would love more time being shown with Keiwa, but we do have to, you know, give everyone a little bit because Neon finally goes visits her father in jail. And I'm like, oh, this was an interesting reaction that kind of just shows the fall from grace of our leader of the conglomerate. Because even he's trying to pass the blame to Neon, saying, you know, because she didn't become this Desiety and tie the knot with Kyun to secure the power of the future for him and his conglomerate. So it's like, he literally still is like, it's your fault. Like, and I'm like, wow. And he even, you know, questions why she came to visit him. And, you know, she's even like, she was hoping that he could somehow make her a Kamen Rider again. But obviously he can't. He has no pull. He has no power. He has nothing. Everyone has left him. And then, you know, he switches face. You know, he's like, hey, you're the only one he can rely on to get him out of there. And the best thing is, like, the line where she's like, listen, like, you're sad to watch. And I'm like, ooh. I was like, oh, that is something's listen. Sumeri, now that she's staying, right? She got herself some civilian clothes. We got a little fashion show. Now listen. I'm not going to do what everyone thinks I'm going to do and start simping. But, yeah, listen, the clip is playing on the screen. You know, okay, listen, that's, okay. And I actually forgot that, like, Ace was still the star to the stars of the stars with stars and stuff like that because he had fans, too, outside. Because I completely forgot that element of Ace's character because we haven't really stuff. And we finally get our first confrontation with Jito and Ace. That was pretty cool. I mean, Jito, I feel like he was less ready to, like, he wasn't about talking. He had the extendo baton. He was ready to fight. And they started to, and even Ace points out, oh, you're a rough GM. And even Jito says, well, he could care less about world peace or audience viewership, which may not seem like too big of a line, but in my head, from like a context and story standpoint, it kind of means that, like, in my head, like, each game master kind of gets to pick the motivation of why people are participating in the DGP, or what is, at least to the participants anyways. Like, okay, like, in the beginning, it's like, hey, you're fighting to save the world from aliens. Second one, hey, ratings, ratings, ratings. Now this time he's just like, I don't give a shit about it. He's like, I don't give him now. None of that. And it was a nice hit. Like, I'm digging these civilian fights. Like, this was a nice hand-to-hand combat, a little 1v1. But then, Jito's getting the upper hand. Jito can throw hands, okay? I like him. I like him a lot now. And Punk Jack makes a save. And this is turning into a nice 2v1 fight. Probably, I mean, I'll show a clip. This is a great 2v1 fight. All right, wait, that's the wrong clip. Still a great 2v1 fight, but no, there's some, like, the fact that he's holding his own against both of them. And yes, that was a Raid reference for those who haven't seen that movie. But, hey, good guy Keiwa shows up to save Sumeri and get her away to safety. And I'm like, really? After, because Keiko already planted the seed. He's like, there's a way, this and that. And he's kind of, saying, go get Sumeri. Because he even asks her, like, he asks, like, why she's helping the riders. And, she says that she can help Ace with this world that he's trying to create where everyone is happy. And, Keiwa starts pulling on, like, this is all show, but I got to give credit to the actor, the body language, the delivery, because he's even like, listen, I can never help anyone, and how can I keep on living without Sarah? And, then he's just like, hey, give me power, the kind that'll make him unbeatable so he can protect the world. And he even says her powers can help him. And she agrees, and they start praying and this and that. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. Like, give me some more of this. But you know what? We have other characters in this show that need to get a little bit more, like, plot development, a little more steps forward in their story. Because Daichi goes to a magical tree that's growing tomatoes, which makes no sense. You can't, like, vine ripe tomatoes are delicious, but, like, I've never seen vine ripe tomatoes grow up a tree, especially a tree that has a bunch of human faces growing out of it. And apparently he's trying to get all of humanity's memories, so I assume that these tomatoes are going to have the memories in them, and he's going to make, like, a freaking antipasta salad or something. He's just going to maybe make like a tomato soup, like, with some basil and memories on it. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm curious now, because it's a tree with faces on it in Kamen Rider. I need to know what's going on with this. Buff is wiping out basically every stage too. Like, he's just gonna defeat them all. And listen, I don't mind this. Okay, it's Buffa, man. Like, I like Buffa. Like, and you could kind of tell from his body language he doesn't enjoy taking out all these stage 2s because he's killing people. And he's still seeing this ghost of Sarah, but Keiwa shows up, and I'm like, oh, it's Keiwa. And he, in the line where he's like, oh, killing Sarah wasn't enough, and you're just trying to kill more. And I'm like, ooh, I was like, this interaction was what we need, because, like, let's face it, this is good. Like, I didn't know I wanted Keiwa versus Bava. Like I said, I thought we were gonna get Keiwa and Daichi, and I still feel like Buffa and Ace still deserve that proper protagonist antagonist fight, but they're all buddies, so it's like, But Buffa's whole motivation is like, listen, more people are gonna die if I don't take out these Jamato, like, and it's true. He's calling the herd, like, from a Jamato standpoint, because let's face it, the more stage 2s there are, the more they can attack and hurt people, the more stage 2s there could be created. So I get Buffa's reasoning, but Keiwa shows off the new buckle, and he even said he made it with the goddess's power, and I'm just like, ooh, that's a nice buckle. And then that freaking henshin. Listen, in my notes it says a different word, but I'm trying to keep it a little PG 13. But goddamn, when it said set to avenge, I was like, oh. But then I noticed a little finger crack there from Keiwa, and I was like, hey, I've seen that before somewhere. I've seen that before. And I'm a Tokyo Ghoul fan, so I was like, hell yeah. And this is one of the things, like, I wish his breaking point was sooner than episode 40 freaking 1. You know? And Keiwa ain't messing around, dude. Like, he's just beating the brakes off of Buffalo. Like, I'm just like, yep. He called him worthless. He did this cool, like, finishing strike Bujin sword, like, that was, like, to stop Buffalo. And then he went into the sword victory. And, dude, the freaking, oh, it's on screen while I'm talking. But, like, that whole, like, splash style art with, like, the paintbrush strokes and this and that, I was like, that is so badass. And, you know, even Bubba's like, where's this tycoon with a bleeding heart? Why is he changed? And you know, Gay was literally like, I haven't changed. And then what I'm assuming is he stabs Buffa. And obviously the episode ends, but I'm just like, damn, cliffhanger like that. But that suit is like so good. Everything about the suit was so delicious. I love that suit. That is a damn good suit. I'm a sucker for black on suits, so I'm like, ooh, that was one of my favorites right now. But like, this episode really culminate, like these, like I said, these last 3 episodes, this stride, the pacing, the story, the character stuff. This is really good. And I know I look at Twitter. I know a lot of people like aren't feeling Geats. There's a lot of people who are like, this is peak. You know, I think this show hasn't been this good from like where I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, I'm behind on a lot of my content right now, but like these last couple of episodes, like, okay, I'll work on the other content. Like, I'm behind on King Oja by like 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes. I'm like, from a review standpoint, I've watched them obviously, and I'm like, but man, like this Geats right now, like I was like, no, I got so good. But yeah, that's it for episode 41 of Kamen Rider Geats. I really enjoyed it. I think I'm really curious about 42 now. And when I finish an episode and I'm like, I got to see the next episode, that's when you know I'm like, the train is just going. And I actually really enjoy this right now. Like, especially because, you know, being a fan of Keiwa and even Michinaga, like I've been saying it for a while now. And I'm just like, we're finally getting this Keiwa that we needed. And the story is moving along at a good pace. My fear is this whole Keiwa arc right now with the was it, I don't even know what it's called, the form. I know it's Bujin something. Like, my fear is it's going to be quick. It'll by like maybe 1 episode, 2 more episodes, and then like that arc or whatever's going on with him will be over. Because I mean, we are in episode 41. But that's it for the review. I thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Yeah. That's it. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I got more videos to work on. Also, got my nice O's jersey from the Al Combo. This thing is so good. Yeah. Oh, dude, this thing is comfortable, man. You're going to see this in a lot of videos this week because I'm batch recording. But yeah, go follow him on Twitter. You know, the waves, like, he just did Beetle, Borg, inspired wave. Like, all this stuff's so good. Go check out his merch. Go check out his social media. I'll see you guys in the next video.